right around the 1980s, there's this big surge of horror movies. Remember that?
Fear porn.
If you go back and watch all of those, there's one called Manitou about a bear who gets doused at a factory's sluice with the toxic runoff and mercury and turns into this skinless, savage werebear monster thing.
I remember that.
Manitou.
There was a couple Manitou movies.
Right, exactly. If you go back and watch, it's the catalyst for pushing industry out of the United States of America. We make nothing anymore. We have no steel mills. We've got no lumber mills.
That's right.
Worth speaking of. It's all been farmed overseas.
Okay, hang on.
Every one of these movies had an underlying theme in there somewhere. Even Revenge of the Nerds, if you watch Revenge of the Nerds, it's about putting down white people. The whole movie.
Yeah, well, the East Coast was very, very heavy in industry back in the day, all the way up to Maine. There's all kinds of small
textile
factories.
Capital of the world.
Yeah, textiles, furniture, tools.
Yeah.
When I was in New York State, there's factory after factory that are still vacant to this day that made implements for, like, we're talking farm equipment, hand tools. There was one factory I went to with my buddy Sergeant Sportello that used to make all of the Pioneer tools for the U.S. Army. All of the tools that were underneath the Humvee or in a box in the back of your truck. The pickaxe 1, the pickaxe 2, you had a shovel, you had a wrench set, the tire irons, all of the jacks were all made at this little factory that's no longer there now.
Yeah.
And all of those jobs went over fucking seas.
Mm-hmm. Now, look, did some of those industries have toxic runoff? We know they did.
Oh, yeah. Okay? Oh, fuck yeah, they did.
We know they did.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of incidents that came around, and it was at the same period in the 70s and the 80s that a lot of that stuff was pushed to the top of the political stack as coin. There was 3 Mile Island. There was one here in Michigan, in Shelby. There was some toxic waste dump.
Well, they had one on
that happened.
They had one on 696 just a few years ago.
Yeah,
a guy was running a chrome plating factory.
Yeah.
And he was just storing the shit in his basement. It was leaking into the water table.
Yeah. Now, look, that stuff happened. But what you should do is you should admit it. You should stop that. You should police that. You don't shut down whole industries when a handful of them are committing crimes. You make them stop and clean up their mess.
Mm-hmm. Or if it's bad enough, you just...
Or shut them down.
You throw the people on the board in fucking prison.
Yeah.
Make an example so that it doesn't fucking happen again.
Don't shut down a whole country's industry, which is what has happened here in the United States.
Why do you think
we have nothing anymore?
Well, stand by. Mm-hmm. Why do you think they were pushing for the living wage at fast food restaurants? Because they've already run out all of the living wage jobs. I mean, you can look in any newspaper, any mainstream media source, and there's just article after article of the youth of today can't afford to buy houses or live because they can't get the jobs to make the money so they can support themselves.
Yeah.
And mainly the Democrats and the Republicans get paid off and allow big industry to move the jobs over fucking seas.
Yep.
Boom.
There you go. Then after that happened in the 70s and the 80s, you had the tech boom that started in the mid 80s, carried through the 90s, and you had the huge tech bubble where people made millions and then lost their asses overnight.
Overnight, yeah.
Like instantly.
Well, the big thing behind...
craziest thing in the world.
Well, no, as a financial planner.
Okay.
Okay. The whole thing with that is...
Financially plan us.
You get a .com.
Yeah.
All right. You come up with a business plan. Mm-hmm. You raise a whole shit ton of money to get that off the ground. And then you do an IPO. That's basically where you...
Initial public offering.
Yeah. Where you take the stock, you sell it to the public. And usually it starts off at a medium level estimated price of what the stock should be worth. And you literally watch a lot of these .coms. They start off at nothing, and all of a sudden they raise that money. They go public. They get like 80, 90 million worth of value, but they don't really do anything because they're a .com, meaning they don't have a factory. They don't have any physical assets. It's all made up, make-believe value. and then you just see a boo, and then a few people in the beginning rode it up to the top, and on the way down, they sold all that shit, but they kept all that profit. And a lot of people who bought in wrote it down to nothing, and they got screwed.
Yes.
So that's how that worked. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's the knowledge we want. That's why you come here to Redonkulous.
Yeah.
We know things.
We know things, and we'll tell you the truth in a very unpolished, vulgar way.
We know things and we drink.
You fucking fucks.
You fucking fucker fucks. So that all happens. Meanwhile, the schools have become completely controlled.
No. The schools became a cabal for communism and control.
Basically what I just said. You just said it a couple of
times. But that was in the 70s. If you thought it was bad back in the 70s and 80s, you just wait till after 2010.
Wait. The 90s was the period where there are no real teachers left. All you have are indoctrinators.
The talking heads.
The last of the good teachers, like the ones that we had, have retired.
They retired by the late 90s.
Yes. That's that period there. And then 9/11 happens. And I know there's a bunch of people out there, 9/11, you want to go on about it. This isn't a 9/11 show.
Yes.
This isn't it. We all know that there was fuckery afoot. Okay. I'll be the first one to tell you that fuckery was afoot during 9/11.
And I seriously believe Mossad was involved in that as well.
I was working for no such agency when that happened.
Yep.
So I know fuckery was afoot.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporters Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.